Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. You bitter clinger-oners, stinkos, dregs of society, all you hateful people who support the president. Welcome, everyone who loves America and believes that it is the greatest nation on earth. You are always welcome here on the Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landrith, and I am with my good friend, who I like to call the doctor of the right, the doctor of common sense and decency, the right Dr. Nasir Shaikh. We're really glad to be co-hosting today.
Start off all the shows by saying, hey guys, it's just an absolutely another great day to be alive and well and free and living in the United States of America, the greatest country in the history of the world, bar none. You know what? You've got the symbols of that, the freedom, the First Amendment behind you. I've got the flag, my Mount Rushmore of conservatives. You know, George, there's so much stuff that's going out there. I mean, every day is absolutely a great day for, I believe, us on the right as conservative political pundits to be talking about something that's happening. And more than likely, it's something that's against the president. So what's on your plate? It's against this country. It's against patriots. It's against freedom. It's against liberty. It's against the pursuit of happiness.
Tammy Duckworth, she wants to be considered for president or VP with Biden. So she's out telling everyone, at least on one day, that she wants to even consider taking down all the mentions of George Washington. I assume that means, closing Mount Vernon, removing statues, take him off the money, change the name of the city and the state. It's just like, but now, of course, when she's called on that, what does she do? She doesn't apologize. She doesn't retract it. She just kind of like changes the subject. I'm sorry, but Tammy Duckworth does not have the courage of her convictions, even though she says nutty things.
And I think, George, the reason they do this is that everybody is trying to out-left the next person. And I tell you what, I even wonder if Barack Obama was running today. I mean, I even wonder, okay, how much support, he would really get, because some of the things he was talking about back then are now, verboten.
Oh, yeah.
Campaign trail or whatever. Some of the things that he was talking about, and he switched on some of those things. So you're absolutely right. This is how they get their street cred with the communists, the BLMers and the anti-fascists, by throwing this stuff out there. So they say, oh, hey, I'm on your side. And then when they're called on it, like you said, they cowardly, stick their head up their rear and basically don't say anything so they can maintain that street cred. And, no one's going to report it other than people like you and me and the other conservative pundits out there.
And my guess is Tammy Duckworth knows that you and I aren't going to vote for anyhow, so she doesn't care that much.
Absolutely.
Because the people she's trying to curry favor with are, they'll eat this stuff up. Even if it's toxic. It's kind of like, I don't know, I think you have to be pretty cynical. Imagine, for example, well, you're a doctor. Imagine giving something that's poisonous to a patient. And it's poisonous in this example, but you give it to them anyhow because you think that they want it, and it will make them temporarily like you. Can you imagine that? I mean, I know you wouldn't do that. I'm just saying, but that's what they do politically every single day. They feed people poison.
And it does lead to killings. It does lead to murder. It does lead to mayhem. I mean, you don't know, okay? I mean, just think all these riots that are happening, the 4 or 5 police officers, that David Dorn, who was killed just defending, or off duty. The other police officer, one of them, I think, is now wheelchair bound for the rest of his life, a young officer in his 20s.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like when Maxine Walters, that idiot, that moron, when she came out and she was screaming at everybody, said, get in their face, no matter where it is, in their car, in a restaurant, in a bank, in a school, no matter what, get in their face, do it. I mean, come on. We hear these things where people are walking around with, whatever, a hat on that says they love America, they love the president, or a shirt. And next thing you know is they're being decked or they're being assaulted. Where's all that coming from? It's coming from people that are, you're right, it is toxic. Absolutely.
Well, and if you look at what's happening, it's very weird because it's not stopping. Like, I think the original thought was, if we let them riot for a little while, it will wind down. But it hasn't actually. What they've become is emboldened because the truth is there are no number of statues that they will be happy with when they're taken down. It's not like they want to change the name of Washington Lee University. And when once the Civil War generals are all taken down, they've made it clear they want to go after George Washington and the founders and Thomas Jefferson. And once they're taken down, I mean, they've already taken down, let's be honest, a black man who was probably the most famous American black man of the 1800s, Frederick Douglass. His statue was damaged and I think destroyed up in New York somewhere. And it's like, you got to be kidding me. This man was an abolitionist. He was probably many people say he was the most eloquent speaker on behalf of freedom. And interestingly enough, he didn't hate America. He gave a famous speech in which he pointed out that to a black slave, the 4th of July was an important day because it was a promise of something that they may not yet have experienced, but would eventually and soon would, and that it was a great thing. And it was because of all of these things. And so my point is, why would you destroy this man's monument if you are saying that you're there to make sure that blacks aren't oppressed? He was the original anti-oppression of black people.
You know, George, it's not about monuments. It's not about statues. It's about power. It's exactly what you're saying. Everything, I know the press, and, they like to tell about this, and I think people are smarter than, the press absolutely gives them credit for, at least those on the conservative side. When Donald Trump has been saying, if you could write a list of the things that Donald Trump said was happening or had happened, and the press went after him and said, you're psychotic, you're delusional. Remember when President Trump said that, listen, they're coming after these statues of the generals and the Confederate soldiers and people that were not even at the general or major mark. These were just lowly Confederate, soldiers, and they want to take those down. They're going to come for Washington, for Jefferson, for Lincoln. And the press went nuts and said, oh, never. Yeah. And look what's going on now.
Oh, yeah.
Do. I mean, George Washington University had to get rid of their mascot.
Yeah.
They got rid of the mascot.
Right.
Whatever it was. Now they're going after cancel culture. Guess what? Yeah. The major league teams are capitulating. Dan Snyder, who said he would never change the Washington Redskins, is getting immense pressure to change the name to the Washington. Atlanta Braves, the Tomahawk Chop, the Cleveland Indians are saying this thing. Right. I mean, now they're going to be doing the Black National Anthem during the first week of the NFL going to play. Listen, I want to know, don't you think that if that happens, the American Indians are going to say, hey, where's our national anthem? What about the Italians? What about the Germans? What about the Chinese? What about the Indians? What about the Middle Easterners? What about the Jewish state? What about the other countries? What about England?
Yeah, then we all need one, right?
We all need one. I mean, this is unbelievable. But when you give them an inch, they take a political mile.
No, you're right about that. And, to be honest, someone like Colin Kaepernick, he's saying that the 4th of July is a celebration of white supremacy. No, the 4th of July is a celebration of this statement. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal and endowed by their creator with inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I don't sense any race in there at all. That's just a statement of human dignity and human rights. But somehow he hates America enough that even that offends him. And it's just to me shocking.
Well, this is coming from a multimillionaire who's benefited from everything in this society. And then yet has he's just a jackass. But beside the fact that, I mean, the idiocy of his statements. But you know what now? I think there's a shift that's occurring, at least within the culture movement on the left. Hollywood, Disney is going to be doing some type of a story thing on him right now. Roger Goodell has basically, bent over frontwards and backwards, to these guys. And he wants one of the NFL teams, okay, to take Colin Kaepernick. But the owners right now, and look, baseball and sports has one thing. If you're good enough, they'll find a way to put you on a team. I mean, you've got wife beaters that are, people that have been spousal abusers, people that have domestic disturbances against them, people punching their girlfriends in the face, and they've been given second and third chances, cocaine addiction, all that. You don't think that somebody, but did some workouts with him, and you know what? He didn't impress. So right now, he's living large out there. He's living on the Hollywood, the hypocrites out there. He's doing all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But this guy's an anti-American. There's no doubt about it.
You're exactly right. Well, we are up against the break, so I want to remind our viewers and our listeners, this is the Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landrith, and he is the good doctor. It's always good to have the good doctor with us, and I'm just want to remind you that you can check out our website for rebroadcast, ccrshow.com. Of course, we truly are everywhere, so don't go away. The good doctor and I will be right back.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show and the television show. Thanks to the AUN TV network and, of course, the Conservative Commandos radio network. And then if you don't happen to be near a broadcast tower, never fear, because you can thank Al Gore's amazing internet, because we truly are everywhere, with the possible exception of China, North Korea, and Iran, where I'm told that, our freedom agenda may not, Dr. Nasir probably isn't the most popular person in China because he's just a little too much freedom for the Communist Party of Chinese. But everywhere else, I can guarantee you, Dr. Nasir is a popular guy. I'm George Landrith. Pardon?
Probably not in Iran.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Iran, North Korea, too, probably. But aside from those places, anywhere where freedom is valued by the populace and by its government, and they'll allow it, then I can guarantee you Dr. Nasir is a popular guy. So I just want to remind you, if you want to hear a rebroadcast of our show, check out our website, ccrshow.com. Well, Nasir, I should probably quickly introduce our guests before we jump back into what we're talking about. But we do have some great guests. We've got Angela Box. She is a former actress and school teacher. And she came to, kind of national and prominence basically because she had the, audacity to be politically incorrect about all kinds of topics. There was, whether it was terrorism or President Obama or the leftist Democrats, she always told people what she thought. And apparently the people decided they couldn't put up with that. So they went after her and tried to get her canceled, even before cancel culture was a thing yet. So I'm sure she'll be interesting. And then, of course, we've got Rick Manning, who is a Conservative Commandos alumnus. And he is also the president of Americans for Limited Government. And we'll be talking with him as well. And then finally, we've got Paul Driessen. And he is a policy advisor at the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow, CFACT. And we'll talk to him about some of the things that, it'll be shocking. But we're going to talk about how the left has actually tried to help or they've put the green agenda as more important than getting rid of child slave labor, because the green agenda matters more to them than children being rounded up and forced to work in mines, for example, in awful places. So all of them, I promise, will be very interesting conversations. But I think we ought to get back to where we're going, because you were making way too much sense. I sometimes get mad at the clock because it dictates we stop. It's like, no, not yet, not yet. But we were talking a little bit about some of this stuff that you've got, where just the insanity that's coming out. And recently, the Democratic National Committee has said that President Trump was glorifying white supremacy of all things when he attended fireworks at Mount Rushmore. And I kind of scratched my head and say, I heard the speech. He was not glorifying white supremacy there. Mount Rushmore, I don't believe does that. Fireworks are fireworks a sign of white supremacy? I mean, they were actually invented in China, I think. And
Chinese.
we enjoy them, and I think they're awesome. But I don't understand. Where does he get white supremacy out of that?
Well, before we begin, I'm going to do something here that's probably going to, if people see it, it's probably going to say, you're doing something wrong. But I've got this itch on my nose. And since the government and Dr. Fauci and everybody says you're not supposed to touch your face, I have to scratch that itch. So I'm going to do it anyways. Okay.
Fair enough.
All right.
That's okay. I won't report you to the nose police.
The nose police, the NPs. Look, you know this as well as I do, George, that no matter what happens, if this president, if you want to glorify America, if you want to glorify patriotism, if you want to talk about how great this country is, guess what? That all leads back to some type of supremacy for those people that are white. That's what happens with everything. Now, when Obama did his speech, at Mount Rushmore, how come we didn't hear the same things at that time? How come we didn't hear that the white man, suppressed the American Indian at that time? And, people talk about reparations a little bit, George, and they say, well, you know what? We need to give it back to the native Indians. Well, here's my question. I think there are probably hundreds of different tribes of Indian tribes that have been there. We know some of the main ones that were the Cherokee, the Urapi, the Cheyenne. They themselves fought each other,
right,
for each other's lands.
Right.
So, are we going to go to the Apache who are, living on the reservation, or some of the Apache, generations that are alive now, and go to them and say, hey, you owe some money to the Cheyenne or the Iroquois, or vice versa? Is that what we're going to do? I mean, where does this end? But that's what happens when you get these people, just another thing. Remember when Obama mispronounced it's Korsman? He said Korpsman.
Corpsman. Yeah.
Korpsman. Well, I think the other day President Trump stumbled on a word or did something, and the press was all over him for some reason or whatever.
Right.
But nobody talked about that thing with it. So it's just, we know this is going to happen each and every single time.
Yeah.
Learn to accept it and fight on.
Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, I remember very clearly when President Obama went to Mount Rushmore, the press referred to the monument behind him as impressive, as, the best of America. They had all kinds of good things to say about it. They had all good things to say about him. Now all of a sudden, even the monument's horrible. And the funny thing is Bernie Sanders was once there in the last few years, and he said wonderful things about the monument. But now the monument's horrible. It's just, I'm sorry, these people are lying sacks of rotting fecal matter. It's just too much. Speaking of lying sacks of rotting fecal matter, maybe we should change gears in our last minute or two here and talk about some of this coronavirus issue in the nursing homes, because it looks to me like, speaking of rotting sacks of, lying sacks of rotting fecal matter, the governor of New York, Governor Cuomo, is doing everything he can to shift the blame for all the deaths, some 6,500 or so that were in patients, nursing homes. And trying to shift the blame and kind of pretend it's not his fault. And he's actually, of all people, even tried to blame Donald Trump.
Oh, why not? No, that's right. I mean, that's at the top of the list of blame game. DT goes right up there, number one. And then, what's next? White males. What's next after that? Probably Christianity and religion, right? And then fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. I mean, you just go right down the list in terms of this intersectionality that people talk about. But you're right. I believe there was some statistic out there with the CDC. This is going back probably about 3-4 weeks now, so this might have changed. Probably not that much. But let's just say somewhere between 35 to 40%. I think it's greater than that, but this is the number between CDC at that time it was somewhere around 103,000 deaths or whatever, were attributed to patients in the nursing homes, and these were people well in their 70s and 80s and above. I think the number is higher than that because I think there was some fudging of the data depending upon where they sent the patients, and if they happen to have sent the patient outside the nursing home and they happen to die in the ER or on the way in the ambulance, or maybe they sent them to to a hospice, or maybe they sent them back home, even though they contracted the virus in the nursing home, but they died
and became seriously ill there too. But
and
right before they die, they ship them somewhere else, and then not my problem.
This has gone on, and so I say, okay, the blood of these deaths are squarely on those leaders, those governors, mayors, whoever they are, but squarely definitely on them. And the majority of this has been happening even in Seattle, where this originally started. I have to give props to the governor out there and to the people that were in charge of the healthcare system there. They saw this and they started to move those patients out of the nursing homes. So initially we heard about the 200-300 that were going on, but certainly it's not approaching into the thousands, tens of thousands.
Yeah, they seem to learn their lesson, and you can't really blame them if the first 2 weeks they don't make all the right decisions because they don't have any data yet. But you're right. Once they got the data, Governor Inslee, figured it out, and why? And Cuomo 3 months, 6 months, it was, I guess it was 2 or 3 months later, still can't figure it out.
Governor of Pennsylvania. I can't think of his name. Not Wolf, is it?
I'm having the I know you're talking about, but it's not coming to me.
Same thing. Same thing in Pennsylvania. Yeah. Tremendous amount of deaths there. New Jersey, the same thing. Mm-hmm. You take a look. I mean, DeSantis. Look at what Ron DeSantis, Republican, saw those things happening. He moved with his, Health and Human Services, there, and they started moving patients out, and they didn't crowd the nursing homes. They didn't force these nursing home people to take those corona patients. So their numbers are down too in terms of that.
Yeah, if you look at the deaths that they've had in nursing homes and older, and kind of the older demographic, it's very, very low because that's what he put all his resources in fighting that fight because they were the most vulnerable. Turns out we didn't need to put a lot of resources into preventing 6-year-olds from getting it because they naturally don't seem to get it. But at any rate, Again, the clock is a cruel taskmaster, and we are up against the break. But we have a great guest coming up, Angela Box, and I'm looking forward to interviewing her. But I just want you guys to know, our loyal listeners and viewers, we are the Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landrith, and I am here with the good doctor, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and we are really glad you've tuned in. If you want to catch a rebroadcast of our show, CCRShow.com. Don't go away.
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day, and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show and the television show. Thanks to the AUN TV network and the, of course, Conservative Commandos radio network. We're broadcast all over the place. But if you don't happen to be near a broadcast tower, never fear, because Al Gore's amazing internet is there, and you can find us there as well. I'm George Landrith, and I'm so glad you've joined us. Just if you want to get a rebroadcast, check out our website, CCRShow.com. I am really pleased to introduce Angela Box. She is a former actress. She's an elementary school teacher as well that came to local, national, and even, quite frankly, international prominence because she had the audacity to be politically incorrect. And when she was talking about things like radical Islam and President Obama and even the leftist wacko Democrats, she was doing this and having this conversation on the local cable access channel on a show called Tommy's Garage. And lo and behold, the left went nuts because she can't speak those kinds of truths. She must be punished. At any rate, she was targeted for canceling long before canceling was popular. And you might not be shocked to find out it was the leftist wackos and the media and the education establishment who went after her. But, Angela is not one to capitulate or to apologize. She fought back, and I think you'll find her to be a great guest for that reason. In fact, I'm hoping she becomes a regular here at Conservative Commandos because she is awesome. And since leaving teaching, she has been working with a political consultant. They work to get conservatives elected, and you will realize the kind of people she's working with, the kind of people you want in office. She also does a number of media appearances every week, and she has her own show, Angela's Soapbox, and that is on the Raging Elephants radio network. And she has her own content that you can read at angelassoapbox.com. That's angelassoapbox.com. So you can see all the different things she does. So with that, Angela, welcome to the Conservative Commandos.
Hi, George. I'm super, super, super excited.
It's really great to have you here. I think I know our listeners are just going to fall in love with you because you make so much sense. And,
oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Viewers, they're just going to say, get George off and bring Angela on. But anyhow, that's okay. I don't mind that. But
I'll give you a break.
Exactly. But I wanted to ask you, because right now in the news, of course, is this whole, Black Lives Matter thing. And I think candidly, every one of us as a conservative, we believe that Black Lives Matter. That's why we oppose abortion. The biggest victim of abortion mills tends to be people of color, blacks in particular. We opposed when we saw what happened to George Floyd. We were appalled. So we oppose the abuse of government. We don't want an abuse of government. But oddly enough, that's not what Black Lives Matter, the organization, is about. So I wanted to have you kind of help us talk about this issue, because I know that you have, I think, both the commitment to the principle of equality and fairness and a just society. That's what the Constitution is all about. And at the same time, you are willing to speak up because I think so many people have been afraid to tackle this difficult question.
Well, yes, and actually on my Angela's Soapbox this week, my article is actually called Black Lives Matter is a Terrorist Organization, period. Full stop. No equivocation. And it is. Yeah. And you and I were speaking off the air just a minute ago. They're very clever that they made it that's their name. And of course it was based on the big lie of hands up, don't shoot, and Michael Brown and Ferguson, how this whole thing got started, which was a lie. So they were smart enough to realize that if we say Black Lives Matter, you don't support Black Lives. In fact, on Instagram the other day, I got into an argument, and one of my comments was actually removed by Instagram saying it was harassment, which it was not, because he said, let me ask you a question. Do you believe Black Lives Matter? I said, I believe all lives matter, but the organization of Black Lives Matter is a Marxist terrorist organization. And if you would simply open your eyes and see that, more and more people would understand. But our media is so entirely corrupt, so thoroughly in bed with these people that, I said a couple of years ago to a news director here who doesn't have me on the station anymore because she's a leftist. But I said, every single thing is political and every single thing is leftist political. It's leftist status quo. And she was like, what are you talking about? Why are you so political all the time? And I said, I don't want to be political all the time. It's the left that makes everything political. And so it's infected every single institution we know of, education, sports, media, obviously Hollywood. And, Black Lives Matter, they've raised $400 million since the death of George Floyd. And where's it going? To their leadership and through Act Blue to Democrat candidates, namely Joe Biden and the DNC. So, no, I think they're a terrorist organization. They're Marxist. They're open about it. And it is going to take more and more people to push back because otherwise you're going to get run over. You're going to get run over.
Absolutely. I mean, just to put some of this into quick context, it isn't just you or me who thinks that the, Michael Brown hands up, don't shoot thing never happened. Eric Holder, the Obama Attorney General, they went in and did a big review of everything for months and months and months. And you know what they said? They said Angela Box is right. I mean, they didn't say those words. They just said
it never happened.
Yeah, but they said that never happened. Did not happen.
Yeah.
There was no hands up, don't shoot at all. So anyhow, bottom line is, and then all you have to do is turn on the news and realize that some guy's walking down or driving down the street, and a mob will surround his car at a stoplight, start beating on it, and one guy, he was shot somewhere in Utah, and he fortunately was able to drive his car away and get to a hospital before get treatment. That is terrorism. That's domestic terrorism. When you put I'm a lawyer, and one thing I can tell you I know for a fact is you don't even have to hit someone to commit the crime of assault. If you put someone in reasonable fear for their safety because of the things you're saying or doing, then you've committed an assault. And so, they're doing that all over the place. There are all kinds of people. You're walking down the street and you see videos of guys at gas stations filling up and getting pummeled by 12 people who attacked them. It's all of a sudden, I'm sorry, and Black Lives Matter will say, oh, that's not us. We're not doing that. Well, then maybe you might want to speak out against it, because these people say they're representing you, and you don't ever say there's anything wrong with it. You defend them. In fact, you tell us, you need to understand. If you understood the rage, you wouldn't be so upset by this. Like, oh, okay.
You're right.
Yeah.
There is no systemic racism in 2020 in America. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. What does exist is racist behavior by some Black people who, like you mentioned, in Houston, there was an incident just a few weeks ago. A guy was at a gas station. These people, like 6 or 7 Black young men, decided to cut the line. He was like, what are you doing? Don't cut the line. I mean, like basic kindergarten stuff, like be fair and don't cut, no cuts. So they attacked him outside, and they were screaming Black Lives Matter at him. But, when you bring that up, it's like, you're not allowed to say that. But when what happened to me, and I did love teaching. I was good at it too. And my babies, I called them my ducklings. They loved me and I loved them. But what happened to me after it did, I was set free. And now I have the ability to say exactly what I think without worrying about being fired. And, that's the right that every American should have. I wish to God that we didn't live in such a polarized society where you couldn't say, okay, Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization. And that will get someone canceled, fired, doxxed, whatever. But, to say that, funny story. When I was teaching, I would say to my kids, and I was working in the inner city in a district that Houston ISD actually took over, and because it was such a complete disaster. So I remember saying to my kids, and I was teaching 2nd grade, I said, okay, and you have to keep in mind, I called it Thunderdome. I was having, desks were being thrown across the room. They couldn't walk in a straight line down the hall. I mean, it was literally retraining these babies to live in a civilized society, which isn't white, by the way. It's just a civilized society. So I said, all right, guys, raise your hand if you know anyone in jail or prison. And every single hand in that room went up. And we're talking 7 and 8-year-old kids. Even the, quote, good kids, their hands went up. And I said, okay, I didn't raise my hand. Now, I agree. I was raised in a different environment, but your future starts now. Do you want success or do you want prison? Because your future starts in 2nd grade. I got called in that day and it was said, you can't say things like that. Black teachers could say things like that and they would defend me. And they would say, she's telling the truth.
Right.
But when you're the wrong color and you tell the truth, you're ripe for canceling. And I hope that more people start standing up and saying, I'm not going to be labeled as a racist for telling the truth. I'm just not.
Yeah.
Come at me.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Well, we are up against the break. Sometimes it is a cruel taskmaster, but I'm really glad you've been on the show with us so far, and I'm glad you're sticking around because there's more to talk about. And but we've got to go to the break right now. Just want to remind our viewers and listeners, this is the Conservative Commandos. We will be right back after these messages. Don't go away.
Attention homeowners. Do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show and the television show. Thanks to the Conservative Commandos radio network, the AON TV network, and of course, always Al Gore's amazing internet. I have to be honest, I'm always nervous when I say that because if someone reads that in a transcript, they will not catch the sarcasm in my voice and they may think I'm an idiot who thinks Al Gore invented the internet. But I promise you, I am not. I just want to remind you, if you want to hear or see a rebroadcast of our show, check out our website, ccrshow.com. We've been talking with Angela Box, and she is a former actress and school teacher. She's an activist. She now works in trying to help get conservatives elected. And she, of course, is a commentator. She has her own host of her own show, Angela's Soapbox. That's on the Raging Elephants Radio. And AngelaSoapbox.com is a good place to read the things that she's thinking about. But we've been talking with Angela about Black Lives Matter, the movement, not the concept that all human life matters, but the movement. And I thought it'd be interesting if we kind of take a look at, continue this conversation, but start looking at things like professional sports and how it's impacting what we're doing. And also, since the clock kind of dictated we had to take a break, if you had any other further thoughts on what we were just talking about, that's fine too. But I just wanted to kind of get us back on track since the clock interrupted us.
No, it's a matter of have you seen the crowd shot of the Nazi youth where they're all doing the Heil Hitler and there's one kid doing this? Have you seen that picture?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's going to take all of us to be that kid, to stand up and say, okay, all lives matter is not a racist statement. It's a factual statement. And Black Lives Matter, the organization, is a terror organization on par with Antifa. They are simply the paramilitary wing of the Democrat Party at this point. What they've done with sports, I think they're in for quite a rude awakening in a few months if they keep this up. I mean, NBA has now said they're going to paint Black Lives Matter on the court. I mean, I'm not an NBA person anyway. I like college basketball because I think it's just a bunch of thuggery in the NBA, unfortunately. And what they're going to do with the NFL, with the kneeling for the national anthem and singing the Black national anthem, whatever that is, we've all learned about that in the last week. If they thought that the human Muppet, Colin Kaepernick, his little shenanigans caused a dip in their ratings, buckle up. It's going to be a bloodbath for them. But they're going to keep doing it because they got to stay woke. So stay woke, go broke. They're getting ready to figure that out.
Yeah, no, I think you're right about that. I mean, you look at I think Americans are, the average American is not a racist. The average American does believe that every single life matters. Black, brown, white, doesn't matter. It's weird, though. All of a sudden now, I feel like we're heading back to the 50s with segregation. Because now we have, apparently, I didn't realize this, but if we have a Black national anthem, we must have a white one, too. And I just thought we were a united nation where we have, one single United States where we have a national anthem and we have a constitution and so forth. But it turns out I was wrong. We have all and it's very bizarre to me to think that this is the direction we're headed, because I always thought that that's what we were trying to get away from, was the idea that, I just scratch my head and say, now we're resegregating our country and we're doing it at the insistence of the radical left.
And every single knee is bending to this. Kansas State Kansas State, which out of the two universities in Kansas is certainly the more conservative one. They had a student had a tweet, and it said basically, today marks the 1 month anniversary of George Floyd being drug free. And a normal person would be like, too soon. Like, come on, man. But the snowflake culture of K-State, they're literally saying, I am too scared to come back to campus. I need this addressed. I feel unsafe as a POC to come back on campus. And the administration of K-State is actually capitulating to these people, saying that they're going to look at this tweet and probably going to kick this kid out. I mean, this is mental illness, what we're dealing with. People
all that
cannot
really
cope with normal things anymore.
Yeah, I mean, this person presents no danger to anyone. You could argue it was in poor taste, too soon type thing. There are certain jokes that maybe we don't need to joke about people's deaths.
Right.
But having said that just means that's poor taste. That's like wearing plaid and stripes together.
Right.
We don't need to kick you out for that. It's just
out of life.
Yeah.
And I let the internet's forever. You can Google my name and find all kinds of juicy things. But, I stand by every single thing I've ever said. And when I said I was debating, I call our local little race hustler, Quan LX, who I actually ended up having to sue for defamation. But we actually, at the end of the day, got along pretty well. Off camera, he's pretty normal. But I remember saying, Black culture needs to fix itself, because throwing desks across classrooms and having fits over everything is not normal behavior. It's highly emotional behavior, and you're not going to progress as a culture, as a race, quote unquote, if there's not certain, basic norms that every single human being kind of lives by. Like for example, I wouldn't say if I said to someone, you can't keep bringing your child into my classroom 30 minutes late every day because now I have to start all over for your child. And I would get yelled at saying that that's an inappropriate thing. The culture says that it's okay to bring your child 30 minutes late and your mom comes in and, slippers and a head wrap. And that's perfectly acceptable. It's like, no, that's not acceptable. You're not going to get, this is basic human being stuff if you want to live in a civilized society. So, again, when you say certain things as a white person, you get screamed at. But if you're a Black person, a Black conservative, a Candace Owens or what have you, saying those things, it's more acceptable, I guess. But back to the whole Black Lives Matter ruining sports and ruining everything else. I really think that the capitulators are going to figure out really quick that when you give in to the mob and you give in to people who want to act uncivilized and bash cop cars and jump up and down on things and throw bricks into buildings and loot and rob and set fire to Black-owned businesses in Black communities, you're not going to get very far with normal people. And I say normal people because most people are normal and want to be not normal in a conformist sheep sense, but just like live a civilized life.
Right.
Like it's not that hard.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's like normal people, when they saw the video of George Floyd, were appalled because that's what normal people would do. But normal people also watch toppling, statues and burning and pillaging and so forth, and they just kind of go, "That's not okay either."
That's not okay either. Yeah,
right. And you can be on both of those because that's what normal people would do. Well, Angela, I see our time is getting close to being over, and I want to make sure that our viewers and our listeners know where they can follow all the things that you do, because I think you have totally lived up to what I said you would be, which is intelligent, insightful, and courageous, and not afraid to say what's in your head. And so I know that our listeners are gonna want to follow you. So how do they do that?
Sure. Well, my slogan is I say what you're thinking. So angelasoapbox.com, all one word, no apostrophe, obviously. Yeah. I'm on Twitter at The Box That Rocks, BOX, and then 2 X's at the end of rocks because the regular way to spell it was already taken. And that's also on Instagram. And then on Facebook, it's Angela Box Public. So
excellent.
Come follow. So, and I love following back patriots. So I'm not one of these people that, won't follow back. If you've got some good things to say, I'll follow back. Sure.
Absolutely. So Twitter and Instagram, The Box That Rocks with 2 X's on rocks, and Angela Box Public. And excellent.
And then on YouTube, super easy. I claimed Angela Box. So if you just YouTube/Angela Box, it'll pull up my channel.
Excellent.
I try and do something once a week.
Very excellent.
I'm not as prolific as other YouTubers.
Fair enough. And then of course your blog, angelassoapbox.com. Great. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today, because like I said, I want to have you become a big part of what we do here at Conservative Commandos, because I'm a big fan, because we need more people who have the courage to say what they believe and who've proven it by the fights that they've had out in public where they stood up for right and wrong, and they didn't get shamed and shut down because they were afraid. So I really appreciate the fact that you spent time with us, and I appreciate the example you set for the rest of the country.
I appreciate that. I mean, again, we need to all realize that in our own personal lives, it's up to everybody to be a leader. Don't be a sheep. Just stand up.
Yeah.
Just say what's true. It's common sense, people. It's not, we're not reinventing, we're not discovering the atom. We're simply telling the truth. That's it.
There you go. That's the truth. Well, we are the Conservative Commandos. I'm George Landrith, and we're coming to you on the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, the AUN TV Network, and Al Gore's Amazing Internet. Don't forget to check out our website, ccrshow.com. The Conservative Commandos will be right back.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free, no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and zero deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show and the television show carried on the AUN TV network, the Conservative Commandos radio network, broadcast all across this great nation. Of course, if you're not near a broadcast tower, never fear. Al Gore's Amazing Internet comes to the rescue, and you can catch us everywhere. So, and if you miss something, there's always our website for rebroadcast, ccrshow.com. I'm very pleased to introduce, and I know I don't need to because you recognize his face, you'll recognize his name, his voice, because he is a former Conservative Commando. He's an alumnus, but we have with us, and I'm pleased to call him a friend, and I'm glad he's with us on the show, Rick Manning. He is not only a thought leader in Washington, but he's the president of Americans for Limited Government. He was also a member of then President-elect Trump's transition team. And he's the author of a book that you really ought to consider reading because the title will give you some information about it. But when you see what's happening around us today, it helps you understand maybe why he's important. That is, there we go. Necessary Noise, How Donald Trump Inflames the Culture War and Why That Is Good for America. Because the left has spent so much time. So trying to just, political correctness and crush us. It's totalitarianism with a smile, and Donald Trump's defeating it day by day. So with that, Rick, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos.
Thanks for having me, George. It's always fun and great to catch up.
Absolutely. So I wanted to throw out an issue here. I think we've all understood that China is an adversary. They've been building a large blue water navy. They've made no bones about that. But I think in general, on at least a lot of other issues, we kind of viewed them fairly benignly, kind of like, well, they're a trading partner and they're a big economy and, all that kind of stuff. And I think the COVID virus taught us how they use some of our dependencies on them against us. And so I've kind of changed the list of things that I no longer want to be buying from China. It used to be things like missile defense and radar and, high-tech stuff that we needed for our national security. And now I'm down to medicine and, personal protective equipment and all kinds of other stuff. But how about things like, I don't know, look at things like our retirement accounts. Should our retirement accounts be investing in Chinese business?
Well, no is the answer. And let me give you a very simple reason. And it's why the president made it so federal 401k plans were not allowed to invest in Chinese assets. And it's very simple. The law related to pensions is that they have to be fiduciarily sound, meaning they have to be, there's an extra step beyond just investing. It has to be something that is suitable for a retirement account. Chinese investments aren't transparent at all. They don't have things like audits on an annual basis. None of those things occur. And so what you would expect, and under the law, by the way, under both Sarbanes-Oxley and Dodd-Frank, there are really strict requirements related to transparency for U.S. companies to be part of the U.S. stock exchanges. Yeah. So we require U.S. companies to meet certain transparency requirements. But because President Obama in 2013 signed a memorandum of understanding, we don't require the Chinese companies to meet the same criteria. They don't have to open up their books. So pension funds have no, if you want to vote, if you want to go buy something off the Shanghai exchange and say, okay, I'll take my, roll the dice, it's your business. But your pension fund needs to be invested in more secure, safe investments, and Chinese assets and Chinese bonds, so equities and bonds, should not be eligible because they aren't transparent, they aren't safe, and quite frankly, they are manipulated by the Chinese government as we
the Communist Party.
Yeah, the Communist Party.
Their government's very different than ours. We have a government with different players and different power centers. You've got a court system. You've got a legislature. You've got two houses in the legislature. You got the presidency. You've got the bureaucracy, and they're all controlled by different people. That's not how it works in China.
No, it isn't.
The voice of one man is enough.
And just to make it clear, China's banks made a profit this year. Okay, I mean, I don't know what, $200 billion in real dollars, $1.6 trillion and whatever the yuan equivalent is. So they made money. The government said, well, it doesn't look good for you to make money, so we're going to basically take all the money that you made this year. We're going to take it from you. So if you, as an investor, had invested wisely into a Chinese bank, whether they're transparent or not, which they aren't, but whether they're transparent or not, the government there can just take away the profit, take away your dividend, take away any kind of value that you might get out of that investment. That you cannot invest retirement funds with that risk quotient. It's insane.
Well, if you think about it, you couldn't invest like some kind of speculative startup. And I'm not saying people shouldn't invest in that with their own money. But as you pointed out, when you have a fiduciary responsibility, you have certain standards. And while you can always lose money in the stock market, you basically, with a fiduciary responsibility, you need to be investing in kind of the highest tier, most reliable, most non-volatile, crazy, very established, safe investments. Even though nothing's perfectly safe, that's why you have to do it. There's no way China investments can be safe because, as you said, no absolutely zero transparency. And then if you do well, they'll just take it anyhow. So you won't get it if you're an investor.
Well, and it gets even, the good news here is the federal law, something called ERISA, which is Employee Retirement Investment Security Act, allows the Department of Labor, and the Department of Labor sets what are suitable investments. And right now they are revisiting that through a regulation where they, under the Obama administration, they put the thumb on the scale in favor of investments that are environmental investments, kind of investing in the environment, the Al Gore wish list. They were, that had the thumb put on the scale of it during the Obama administration. And a lot of money flowed to those investments because of it. Under this thing, they're bringing it back to basically, it has to be something that matches up with actual making a profit, investing, having first, second, and third priority being, making money, because that's kind of why you have a pension fund, or a 401k is to make money. Imagine that, having your investment advisors being responsible for that. So the Department of Labor,
novel concept.
The Department of Labor is changing the investment, not taking the thumb off the scale, not allowing you not to invest in socially conscious investments, but saying those investments are only valid if they are primarily geared towards making money, and they can show that they are every bit as successful as other investments. So they've got that going on right now. And so what we're urging the Department of Labor to do is something very simple. Add in transparency language. Say if any asset is not transparent not transparent, and it should not be deemed to be acceptable to be included in any retirement fund.
Right. I would assume you might also want to add that if the government can just confiscate profits because it feels like it, that's not a suitable investment either.
Right. Well, that's true. Some would argue with our tax code that occasionally the government does that. But
you usually know that going in.
You know that going in, sure enough.
It's not announced at the end of the year.
The ultimate thing is I'm not going to. You need to keep it simple, and by taking it and basically wiping out the memorandum of understanding, you create an environment where the Chinese investments are no longer valid. One thing that we haven't talked about is about 10 days ago, the Pentagon came out and they said that 20 companies in China, 20 major companies, are basically controlled assets of the People's Liberation Army or the Communist Party. Yeah. So their duty is to spy on America. Right. So it's not in our national interest, it's not in your fiduciary interest, and we need the Department of Labor to fix it.
That makes a lot of sense. So we're up against the clock, so we've got to take a quick break, but I'm glad you can stick around because I know with you there is always more interesting and insightful and important things to talk about because you are informed, you are a font of information. I want to remind our listeners and our viewers, this is the Conservative Commandos. We will be right back after these messages, but don't forget our website, ccrshow.com.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show, the television show, on the AUN TV network, on the Conservative Commandos radio network, and of course, if you're not near a broadcast tower, you have Al Gore to thank. Well, not really, but you have the internet to thank. Anyhow, it's good to be with you. I'm George Landrith, and I am glad you've stuck around. We've been talking with a good friend, and not only just a friend of the show, but a personal friend. And if you're a conservative, he's your friend, because this is a man in the know who's been fighting for conservatism for a long, long time and doing a great job of it. But Rick Manning, he is the president of Americans for Limited Government and the author of a book you should read, Necessary Noise. So Rick, I guess I want to change gears just a little bit. Very interesting stuff on, but I know you have more things to talk about. And the truth is, I should probably have you on for a full hour before we would even come close to it. But this is all the time we got. So let's change gears. Let's go to St. Louis, because there's some crazy stuff going on there. I mean, it's just, you kind of scratch your head and say, who's in charge? Lunatics?
Well, lunatics are in charge. I think it's pretty clear. What we have is, I think people are familiar with the McCullough case. If not, I'll give you a thumbnail. A couple, very liberal couple, supporters of Black Lives Matter, as a matter of fact, had their house attacked. They lived behind a gate. Black Lives Matter people decided they wanted to attack their house for some reason, probably because it looked like some wealthy people lived there. And so they ripped the gate off their property and threatened their lives. And so the McCulloughs came out wielding firearms and defended their property. They didn't shoot anybody, but they defended their property. And the Black Lives Matter people backed off. The mob backed off. And so the McCullough then were subjected to all sorts of attacks, because how dare they wield firearms in front of the mob? They were supposed to just let the mob come in and kill them. And you know, that was what the Twitter storm occurred. So the mob comes back and they go out and they once again confront the mob. And by the way, they have absolutely no idea how to hold firearms. But apart from that, but they're confronting the mob. And guess what? The St. Louis district attorney, the prosecutor in St. Louis, wants to charge them because they were wielding a firearm on their own property, okay, and threatening people who are on their property illegally, who were trying to...
Yeah, had already torn the gate down.
We're trying to destroy their property and threaten their lives. So you've got somehow the people who were invading their property were saints, and they've
somehow been wronged.
The people who paid the property tax on the property, let's put it this way, from a county perspective, the people who paid the property tax on the property, which pays for the county government, they were the ones who were guilty because a mob was trying to kill them. So that is just one example of the craziness we're seeing. And oh, by the way, in Missouri, you have a right to defend your castle. You have a right to defend your home.
Yeah, I would argue you have that right everywhere in the world. The government may or may not recognize that right, but that's their problem. Because I don't see any reason to allow yourself to be killed or severely injured by a mob simply to prove that you're a good citizen. I'm sorry. What? That's stupid.
That's stupid. And it's not like they went out looking for trouble. They were at home. Yeah. And so it kind of highlights the challenge that we have in that just as we saw the rioters running rampant through cities, destroying stuff and burning stuff and defacing property, apparently the people who, in many of these jurisdictions, that didn't care about the rioters, the people who attempt to clean up the mess afterwards, the people who attempt to defend themselves, suddenly they are the ones who in these jurisdictions, like Minneapolis, St. Louis, elsewhere around the country, San Francisco, they're the ones who are ending up actually getting in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, these district attorneys need to be voted out of office, and they need to be forever blackballed from ever serving in office again. If a voter votes for them, they're stupid. I don't care what your politics are. If you're a liberal and you support that, you are not a good American, because good Americans do not require their neighbors to be killed to avoid disobeying the law. The law should never put you at risk like that.
100% correct. But one thing that's true is district attorney races, state's attorney races, whatever they're called in your jurisdiction, are low key. Typically, it's a partisan ballot, and so there's not a lot of money spent on them. And so here in the Washington D.C. area, for instance, George Soros came in and he spent about $600,000 in Fairfax County and elected a guy who has stated he's not going to enforce low-level property crimes or drug crimes for that matter. So that's going to turn out really well. In Arlington County, they beat once again, in Fairfax, they had a liberal prosecutor, and they beat him because they wanted somebody who wasn't going to enforce the law. Soros put somebody in place.
Liberal wasn't good enough.
Wasn't.
They had to have a lunatic.
Right. And so in Arlington, Virginia, which is just across the river, is where they're taking down a lot of the Confederate statues. In Arlington, Virginia, they have somebody who's similar, who never tried a case, and their objective is essentially to provide aid and comfort to the radicals to the left. And even in Loudoun County, which is out further and is typically viewed as a pretty Republican area, Soros threw $800,000 into a DA's race and beat the Republican incumbent because the Republican incumbent raised $200,000, and nobody knows who the DA is. And as a result, you get you pay $800,000 and you say, oh, we're going to solve racial injustice, and you turn out the radical left in a primary, and what do you get? You get change. And George Soros has been doing that across the nation. And that's why we're seeing a lot of this crazy stuff.
Yeah, I almost think that maybe we should start demanding that Democrats tell us whether or not they would accept money from Soros. Because I think if you accept money from Soros, you might as well just accept money from the Communist Chinese, because they have it in for America, and so does Soros. He does not seek a better America. He seeks a horrible, weakened, tyrannical America.
He seeks to destroy America.
Yeah.
The boundaries won't exist because they'll eliminate any immigration laws. But even if the boundaries still exist, America would be unrecognizable. And that's why we're kind of sitting in shock watching some of these things are occurring, because George Soros has put a lot of money, millions upon millions upon millions of dollars on district attorneys so they don't enforce the law or selectively enforce it at best, and on Secretary of States. Why Secretary of States? Because they're the ones responsible for elections. And okay, and so they're attempting to put radicals in who will effectively end the popular vote as a means for expressing your opinion, because they will essentially make it so they keep counting until they get the result they want. And so that's what he's doing in real time, and we're going to see it in this election, because he's successfully put crazy people into positions. So that's a really constant.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't want to be a bummer here, because we are in a situation where the good news of all this is we can see it coming. You can't defend if you're being blindsided by something, but we see it coming. And because we can see it coming, we can stand up to it, we can do something about it, and we can make certain that come this November, that we don't end up with that same kind of person running our White House, somebody who would say, we need to defund the police, for instance, like Joe Biden did.
Well, imagine Joe Biden, Mr. China, and what he would do on, so it was the Obama-Biden administration that basically said we could invest over there anyhow. So it's just interesting, but we only got a minute or so left. So why don't you tell our listeners how they can follow the work that you're doing at Americans for Limited Government?
Go to getliberty.org, GETliberty.org, and you can subscribe to our daily newsletter, get original content on a lot of different issues that you may or may not know about. And generally speaking, it's free, it's in your inbox, and you'll enjoy it. There's cartoons.
It's high quality stuff too. It's and it's also entertaining. So it's not just policy wonk stuff. It's stuff that Americans who care about their country will want to see.
Yep. So and that's what we try to do. Try to make it fun, but also informative. And I appreciate it, George.
As somebody who gets your email on a daily basis, I can tell you succeed. So that's good. Absolutely. Well, thanks for being with us. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to let our listeners and viewers know we are the Conservative Commandos, and we are coming to you on the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, the AM and TV Network, and on Al Gore's amazing internet. Don't forget our website, ccrshow.com. Don't go away. The Conservative Commandos will be right back.
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing one-day bath and shower remodeling. The complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day. and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show and the television show, carried on the AUN TV network and on the Conservative Commandos radio network, of course, all across this great nation. And if you happen not to be near one of the many broadcast towers, either television or radio, never fear, because you have Al Gore's amazing internet. We truly are everywhere, and we're just glad you're here. This is the place to be. I'm George Landrith. I'm glad to be one of your co-hosts today. And just want to remind you, you can check out a rebroadcast of our show, ccrshow.com. It's all there. I'm very pleased to introduce Paul Driessen. He's a longtime friend. He's been a longtime activist in terms of public policy and trying to make sure that it makes sense. Paul is a guy that looks at things and asks what works and what is in line with principles of the marketplace, the Constitution, you name it. He's a senior policy advisor for the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow, CFACT. And he's the author of articles and books on energy, the environment, and human rights issues. Paul is one of the smart guys. So with that, Paul, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos.
Well, it's nice to be with you, especially after that introduction.
Not at all. Happy to tell the truth. But I wanted to talk to you about several things, if time will permit. We'll get through as much as we can, but let's start off with talking. You've written a very interesting article about slave labor, and you would assume, the left would tell you, of course, that they are woke and concerned about the conditions of child slave labor across the globe, and maybe not so much, though, huh?
Well, yeah, it depends on what the topic is. If it's your shoes or your clothing in any general sort of way, they're opposed to child labor, even if the child labor involves getting kids into a safe environment off the streets where they're not having to beg or steal or prostitute themselves to put some food on the table. But when it comes to green technologies, and I use my little air quotes there, because they're not green and they're not eco-friendly, they're not sustainable, they're not renewable, but they call them that. When it comes to those technologies, electric vehicles, even the batteries in our laptops and our cell phones, but especially for all these green technologies, wind, solar, and biofuels and batteries, for the new era of technology for the energy that makes our lives and living standards, our jobs possible. When it comes to those things, they don't care at all about child labor. Here's a couple examples. Just for the cobalt that goes into all those batteries, and this is just for batteries we're using today for electric vehicles, for laptops, for cell phones and other things, the cobalt mostly comes from Democratic Republic of Congo, under Chinese control for the most part. And there are 40,000 children, according to Amnesty International, right now laboring basically 7 days a week, sunrise to sundown, in cobalt mines, as children as young as 4 years old. Now, that to me is outrageous. And it's not just that they're in the mines, they're crawling in these narrow tunnels that cave in from time to time. They're exposing themselves constantly to radioactive, toxic materials, dust, water, and air. They're dying. They're getting all kinds of diseases. Their parents are in there working with them. They're trying to put food on the table too, but under horrible conditions. Last year, a California legislator tried to put in a responsible sourcing amendment for electric vehicles sold within the state of California. He wanted the vehicles certified that no child labor was involved. targeting cobalt that was in those batteries that Elon Musk makes for his Teslas and for other electric vehicles, and just trying to bring some sense of human rights into this issue. The California legislature voted it down, party line vote. Democrats all opposed this nice human rights child labor amendment. They said, well, this could interfere with our climate goals, and it could raise the cost of electric vehicles, and other people use child labor too. Well, that was bad enough. That was California. Yesterday, the House of Representatives, again on a party line vote, was against a very similar provision, an amendment to this $1.5 trillion latest Democrat proposal for COVID-related job and infrastructure that they're turning it now into a green slush fund bill. Same basic amendment, nationwide application to certify that cobalt in our electric vehicles did not come from child labor. And actually the committee, I forget which committee, but the committee responsible for this legislation voted 43-19. All 19 opposed to this legislation, to this amendment, were Democrats, of course, but they actually had a number of Democrats voting for it. Then it made it to the full House, and they sneaked it out of there. They didn't even have a floor vote on this. The people running Pelosi and company cut it out of the legislation. So human rights, child labor, again, irrelevant to them when it comes to Green New Deal and getting rid of fossil fuels. It's outrageous.
It's very interesting because this is the game they play all the time. It's, even with the issue, and like we see now in the news all the time with Black Lives Matter, I don't really get the impression they're that worried about Black lives, because they certainly they want to have fourth trimester abortions. And we know for a fact that the biggest victims of those tend to be minority children. And it's just, and of course, that's where Planned Parenthood puts their facilities and their abortion mills as well in the inner city, per Margaret Sanger's wishes. So there's this whole, this is not, what you've just described to me actually is consistent in a sick, perverse sort of way, which is we will pretend we care about people, whether it's child labor or other minority groups or whatever it is. But the fact is, we don't. We simply don't care. And I'm shocked by it. This is, and the media will not tell the truth. That's what's stunning. This is the sort of thing. Imagine if Republicans had stripped this provision out. We'd be hearing about it nonstop, 24/7, for the next 5 decades at least.
Yeah, and we have to remind people, Black Lives Matter when that's African children, and Black Lives Matter here, but all Black Lives Matter, not just the ones that are that die at the hands of police officers, somebody like the ones involved in a couple of these outrageous cases like George Floyd, but all of those Black lives.
Yeah, last one of them.
Black Lives Matter people. What about David Dorn, Patrick Underwood, or Makey James? They probably don't even know who those 3 people are that were murdered by other that were murdered, and they were also Black, but their lives didn't matter at all. They didn't make it into most of the media. And remind them too that the Democratic Party was the party of the Confederacy. It was the party of the Ku Klux Klan.
The party of Jim Crow and segregation.
They don't want to talk about any of that. So yeah, we're in a very weird area of Black lives not mattering much at all, unless it's driving that particular agenda to put certain people in power and take away rights and power from the rest of us, or even to be able to discuss these issues beyond you and me, for example. To get this sort of thing up on Facebook or Twitter, it would be knocked out immediately.
Yeah. It's hate speech or something.
Talk about it.
Yeah. It is interesting. I just find it bizarre that something as obviously pernicious as child slave labor in mines is somehow something that they can't even muster an interest in. It's stunning to me. But we are up against the clock, and that sometimes it is a cruel taskmaster. So I do want to just let our listeners know we are the Conservative Commandos, and we will be coming back. We've got lots more to talk about with my good friend Paul Driessen, and like I said, we are the Conservative Commandos, and we are coming to you on the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, the AUN TV Network, and of course Al Gore's amazing internet. I hope you sense the sarcasm in my voice as I say that. But TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, AMFM 24/7, we're all there. And of course, CCRShow.com as well. We will be right back.
Attention homeowners. Do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos, the radio show and the television show carried on the Conservative Commandos radio network, the AUN TV network, and of course everywhere else on the planet on Al Gore's amazing internet. With the possible exception of China, North Korea, and Iran. I think they don't like freedom much, so maybe we're not popular there. At least not with the regime. The people probably do like freedom, they just don't get it. But we truly are everywhere. I'm George Landrith. We're grateful that you've stuck around. We've got lots more to talk about with Paul Driessen. And I do want to remind you, if you want to rebroadcast, miss the first part of the interview, catch it at ccrshow.com. As I said, we've been talking with Paul Driessen. He's a senior policy advisor for the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow, CFACT. And he's also the author of articles and books and on energy, environmental issues, and human rights issues. And we started off talking about how Greens seem to promote, not oppose, but promote child slave labor around the globe because their commitment to their green agenda, so-called, is so tremendous that even child slave labor does not bother them. But Paul, if we could, one, thanks for sticking through the break, and two, I want to kind of shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about some of this technology they're so committed to, because I've read your work and I'm aware of some of the things you've written about it. But the question is it seems like this is kind of a pipe dream, and so we're promoting slave labor for something that may not even work very well. So fill us in.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. You hear about renewable, clean, green, sustainable energy. It's none of those things. The wind, the sunshine, that's free and clean and renewable. But harnessing those energy sources to benefit us, to power our homes, our industries, our businesses, our schools, our churches, and so forth. That is not free, clean, green, renewable, or sustainable. It takes enormous amounts of wind turbines, solar panels, batteries, and so forth, and massive amounts of mining. Far more than it does for fossil fuels, so roughly 100 to 200 times more raw materials to get the same amount of electricity out of wind and solar as it does from fossil fuels or from nuclear. So you're talking about enormous increases in mining worldwide. You're talking about blanketing the country to get intermittent, weather-dependent, unreliable, very expensive electricity from wind and solar backed up by batteries. You would have mining everywhere, and then you would have turbines and panels everywhere. If we were going to replace all the energy we use in the United States, the gasoline in vehicles, the electricity that we're generating from fossil fuels and nuclear right now, from coal and natural gas, if we were to replace the home heating from natural gas and factory power with coal and natural gas, you would need something on the order of 4.2 million wind turbines, every one of them about 600 feet tall, 400 to 600 feet tall, every one of them covering around 100 acres per turbine in order for them to work properly. So those wind turbines would cover about a third of the lower 48 United States. If we went offshore and built these 850-foot tall wind turbines that are 10 to 12 megawatts per turbine, and that's tell me where some coastal resident is going to want those off their coasts. We're talking 320,000 of those monster wind turbines, and that assumes they're working all the time, which they're not going to be. So you'd have to have 100,000 of them off our Atlantic coast, 100,000 off our Gulf coast, and 100,000 off the Pacific coast. They'd have to be backed up by around 4 billion Tesla-style battery packs. 4 billion of them. So that we have electricity when the wind isn't blowing and the sun isn't shining for a week. Think of all the mining, the minerals, the concrete that goes into every single one of those. Just here in Virginia, where I live, they're talking about putting in 500 square miles of solar panels. That's 8 times the size of Washington, D.C. And that's just to get about 10% of the electricity that we would need here in Virginia on any given day. 8 times the size of Washington, D.C., completely smothered by solar panels. Imagine what that does to wildlife and wildlife habitats, to our scenery. Imagine having thousands of wind turbines in your backyard, up on your mountains, in your fruited plains, in your grasslands. The wildlife it would deplete, chase away, kill, wind turbines slaughter enormous numbers of birds and bats, mostly eagles and falcons and other such raptors every single year here in the United States.
Yeah, and these are endangered species, but they are exempted, I understand. If you and I were to kill those birds, we would go to jail for it.
If you or I were to possess a bald eagle feather from an eagle that was killed by a wind turbine, the turbine operator would be fined. You and I would go to jail and be fined. It just makes no sense. But the bottom line here, it's real simple. When you've got environmental laws and it can be used to stop pipelines, oil and gas drilling, fracking, nuclear power, even a transmission line from a natural gas power plant to a city, those environmental laws are good and they should be enforced, and they are by our courts and by all these environmental groups. But when it comes to stopping 1,000 wind turbines or 1 million solar panels covering hundreds of square miles, or transmission lines from solar panels and wind turbines to cities that are 1,000 miles away, those environmental laws are just going to be thrown out the window by our environmentalists, our Democrat legislators, maybe some of our Republican legislators, and our courts. It just makes no sense at all to me.
So they would dispose of those things as rapidly as they disposed of the protections for child slave labor in mines.
Yeah.
Right out
much.
The window.
They would get in the way of their green agenda and their power grab. They want total power over our lives, our liberties, our living standards, our opportunities for jobs. They want complete control over all of that. And that's what this comes down to.
Yeah, you're right about that. There's a long history. I learned that early on in my life when I was on a public school board, that there were certain voices that claimed they cared about education, but they did not. Everything was about power. And if they could get a policy in place that gave them more power but harmed education, versus a policy that did not impact their power at all but improved education, they would go for the policy that gave them power and damaged education every single day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Yeah,
and
so
that's kind of, and I think you see that in the environment. You see that, as you described, with human rights.
Yeah, and what's going to happen when thousands of people gather in opposition to massive solar farms and wind farms and battery warehouses and so forth, and the loss of their jobs, the killing off of their living standards? Thousands of people show up to protest and scream and holler and maybe do a little sabotage or throw a few rocks. Do you think the Antifa Democrats are going to support those gatherings? Probably not.
Yeah, and we've seen on TV a lot of things that are called mostly peaceful. Those I've been to events that looked like they were county fairs. In terms of there's kids, there's moms and dads, there's balloons, there's strollers, and all this. And I've seen the media, because they did not agree with the cause, refer to it as a violent mob. But then you can be burning down things and they'll call it mostly peaceful. So even the media, quite frankly, is complicit in some of this and cannot be trusted. It's very sad. And now, Paul, you do a lot of great work, and it would be a shame if people only followed your work when you're a guest on the show. And we want to have you back all the time because you're a great guest and you have great information. But in between those things, how can people follow your work?
There are 3 great places to go. One, of course, is cfact.org, cfact.org. Second is townhall.com under the columnists. And the third is What's Up With That. That's WATTS upwiththat.com. That's a great climate change website. There's a lot of other places that carry my articles, dozens more, but those are three really good ones that pretty much carry my things going back many years. So
excellent. Well, thank you, Paul. We appreciate it. And I hope people put all those on their favorites list, because your work is definitely worth reading. But I do want to remind our listeners and our viewers, we're the Conservative Commandos, and we will be right back after these messages. Don't forget our website if you want to rebroadcast, ccrshow.com.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000.
You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club
for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry.
They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more.
Call the number on your screen now for a free no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now, because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and 0 deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Well, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos. What a great opportunity to be with you, Nasir. Great guest. I just want to throw a shout out and a thanks to Angela Box, and of course our friend Rick Manning and Paul Driessen. They all three made great guests, and that's one of the hallmarks of our show. Well, maybe right before we head out, I will just ask you, Dr. Nasir, the doctor of the right. How can people follow you when you're not actually here on the show, co-hosting and doing things? How can people follow your work, what you're thinking about?
Well, thank you. Thanks, not a problem. Well, listen, it was great being with you, co-hosting, once again. And just leave it with saying to people, you know what, when you're right, you're right. And you know what, when you're left, you're just wrong. So if you want to follow me, you can do so at my website. It's DR, and then my name, NASIR. SHAIK, so drnasirshaikh.com. That's my website. Twitter, @Nasir Shaikh Show, @Nasir Shaikh Show, or you can follow me on Facebook which is the Nasir Shaikh Show. That's the Nasir Shaikh Show. And for my co-host, for the host here, George, why don't you let everyone know out there that are viewing this and listening how they can contact you and follow your work as well?
Sure. Well, I head up Frontiers of Freedom, so our website at Frontiers of Freedom is simple. It's ff.org, ff.org. And you can follow me on Twitter at glandrith. That's, of course, G and then Landrith, which I should have thought about this, but that spells Glandrith, and it sounds kind of weird, so I probably should have been smarter. But anyhow, that's the way you do it. But again, so great to be with you today. I really appreciate your perspective, your intelligence, your good wisdom. And but right now, we've got to run, we've got to go. But we will see you tomorrow on television and the radio, the Conservative Commandos. With that, God bless.
Hey everybody, coming to you from my little Zoom studio here, and you need to hear this because you're being bombarded right now with these really over-the-top accusations against the president that he's got blood on his hands, that his denial and delay has cost lives, and that basically he took no action until it was too late. The question is any of this true? All right, let's start back in January. January 15th, the first patient with coronavirus enters the United States from Wuhan. That was also the same day that these impeachment pens were being handed out. But luckily, the administration was on top of it. A couple of days later, January 17th, they were already implementing screenings at San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York airports for flights coming in from Wuhan. But still, even about a week later, our mainstream media was still promoting things like this. Doctors saying, hey, this isn't a big deal, not much more dangerous than the flu. Nevertheless, President Trump did implement that travel restriction on January 31st, even though things like the World Health Organization were saying no need to limit trade and movement. And they largely criticized President Trump's travel restrictions. Same day, January 31st, that Nancy Pelosi proposed the No Ban Act, which would actually stop President Trump from implementing the life-saving travel restrictions that he did implement. So was everybody else really sounding the alarm at this point in time? No, of course not. Headlines like these were being written, and constantly, and by mainstream outlets. Again, I don't blame them. These are the facts they had at the time. Adam Schiff, the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, was getting regular updates in that committee, but he didn't even publicly talk about coronavirus until February 25th. And let's not forget that President Trump did talk about the coronavirus in the State of the Union on February 4th. What happened to that State of the Union? That happened. So fast forward a couple of weeks when the president actually asked Congress for supplemental funding to combat the virus, $2.5 billion. What did Nancy Pelosi do? Instead of putting that money on the House floor to be voted on, she put a bill to ban flavored tobacco. That was the priority of the Speaker of the House. You also hear a lot of criticism for Trump being overly optimistic. But this is what Nancy Pelosi was saying in late February, telling people to go out and enjoy themselves for the Chinese New Year.
Come to Chinatown. Here we are.
Same with Bill de Blasio in New York City. I want to be clear, I'm not blaming them either. We all have the same set of facts. Even around the world, places like Italy and Spain and Iran, their cases didn't start to spike until early March. And even they didn't lock down. Italy didn't lock down until March 10th. Spain didn't lock down until March 14th. Iran, not until April 4th. Places like Sweden didn't lock down at all. As these countries locked down, were we just doing nothing? No, of course not. President Trump implemented travel restrictions from Europe on March 12th. And what did the media say? All of that. All of that. Widespread criticism. How could you do this? What's the point of this? Well, does this really sound like an administration that's in denial about this? Of course not. And a few days later, we implemented our own 15 days to slow the spread, which then turned into 30 more days. Okay, fine, say the critics, but what about the PPE? We were well behind. We should have had more in the national stockpile. Yeah, that's true. But USA Today did a fact check on this. As it turns out, most of our stockpile was depleted after the H1N1 virus. Okay? And the Obama administration never replenished it. That's the truth. Am I blaming them? No, not really. They don't have a crystal ball. What about the testing? We were behind on that. And that's President Trump's fault, right? Well, no, not so simple. Early on, the CDC started to develop a test, but China refused to give them actual samples of the virus, so it was harder to make a test. And also, they didn't do a great job of it. Also, long-standing FDA regulations prevented our private industry from actually developing tests. The Trump administration reversed those regulations that had been around for well over a decade. This is the main point here. If we're going to look back in time and try to suggest that our government should have shut everything down back in February, well, where's the evidence for that? We're really going to shut things down when our cases hadn't really started to increase? When it barely started to increase in places like Italy or Iran? Of course not. They didn't shut things down until way later. Do you really think that we should have lost tens of millions more of jobs and livelihoods based on almost no evidence at the time? Is that really a reasonable expectation? Is that really a reasonable accusation? No, I don't think so. Listen, I don't want to blame Democrats for this at all. I don't think we should. I don't think there's a lot of people to blame for this, except for China, of course. It would be time for all of us to give each other a little bit of grace and understand that at the local, state, and federal level, everybody is doing their best to fight the pandemic. And we're going to need to stop the dishonest finger pointing as we move into the next phase, where we figure out how to reopen our economy and fight the pandemic alongside that. Thanks for listening.